Hey guys, got a quick and easy walkthrough for you today, all about how I won the Skool Games this quarter, and I did it all with a one-man community that makes over $300,000 a month in total. That little cha-ching you just heard was directly from Skool. Should probably turn that off before I proceed, or I'm going to be getting that all day. Let me just exit out of that tab. And basically what I've done is I put together a 19-page document that shows you guys how to do it all. I'm going to publish this. You guys can get access to this just down below this video. You guys can also, if you're part of the Schoolers community, see the post. I'm crossing my fingers that Sam and maybe Andrew and Alex and these guys are going to tag it or pin it somewhere to the top. That'd be pretty cool, and I think give a lot of visibility on how to run a similar sort of operation. But basically, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to walk you through all of the logic there and then expound upon it, maybe give you guys some more insight into how to run a successful school community. And I'm making this video today because, oh my goodness, that's way heavier than I thought. The team just sent me over this puppy, which is very shiny and reflective and way heavier than it looks. And yeah, it's more or less, you know, the thing that they give to people that hit #1 on Skool for a specific category, I think. But why don't I just start by walking you guys through some of the logic, and then, you know, if I see anything interesting here, I'll run you guys through it. A repeating theme that you guys are going to see come up throughout this presentation, if you guys can call it that, is just that there really isn't anywhere near as much magic as most people think in terms of like becoming #1 on Skool. Just takes a lot of activity, just takes a lot of consistency. And, you know, I think a lot of people want that magic secret, that cure-all that, you know, guarantees you #1 placement. But in reality, it's just a lot of like the same boring, mundane things that you do over and over and over again for a very long period of time. Okay, so yeah, let's run through some context. First thing is I have this community here called Maker Skool. It's about $300,000 a month right now. And then this one over here called Make Money with Make. It's actually my first community that started well over a year ago. That is about $35,000. We also get annual subs, so sometimes that goes between 35 to 55. I have 0 hires for all of this, so no community managers. I do no onboarding calls. In Maker Skool, I just have 1 call per week, and it's all extraordinarily time leveraged. My hourly rate comes out to like several $1,000s an hour, which I'll run you guys through in a moment. And then my margins, just given the fact that, you know, I have none of the above, are crazy. So it's just school fees plus some giveaways that I'm doing inside of Make Money with Make. The whole idea here is building generational wealth with Skool in basically like an hour and a half a day, which is absolutely ridiculous. So thank you to everybody on the Skool team for putting together the platform and allowing me the opportunity to do this stuff. I tagged a few of them over here, but, you know, rest assured, while these people are in charge of Skool, they don't like make up the whole Skool team. There are a lot of people whose names I just couldn't find that I wish that I could have added to this list. Okay, so yeah, I think there are a lot of limiting beliefs surrounding communities and how they work. So this is just going to be a brain dump, hopefully to eliminate some of those, and then to run you guys through a pretty cool paradigm that, you know, I've used to solve problems like Skool before, as well as a bunch of other things that I think you guys could probably use in your own businesses, in your own lives, maybe see some more success with. So yeah, let's just run through what I'd consider the main principles of Skool success. Okay. Okay, so #1 is very obvious, but it should show up every day. And already I've lost probably like 80% of people that run Skool communities. 80% or more just don't show up every day. I mean, you know, I'm pulling the stat kind of out of my ass. I've taken like brief little surveys here and there when I was looking to see what was like the key differentiator that I could use that other communities don't have. But it was something like 8 out of 10 people just don't show up every day. And only 2 out of 10 people actually do some sort of activity. So here's my activity graph over the course of the last, I don't really know how long it's been, 5 months or so. You can also just see this directly if you go to my profile, go, I think like this one right over here. My activity graph for the better part of last year has just been all green. I have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days out of the last 365 days that I haven't shown up. So basically, if we just math it out, I'm at 359 out of 365, or about 0.98% show up rate. And in the last 5 months, as you guys could see, I haven't missed a single day. The last time I missed that day was March the 2nd, which was how many days ago was March 2nd? 135 days ago, a little, yeah, just about like 4.5, 5 months ago. So showing up every day is really like the #1 lever. If there was a single thing that I hope you guys could walk away from this video with, it would just be if you just show up every day for whatever the hell you're doing, whether it's Skool or something else, you will inevitably win. You know, and if you think about it, like, not only do I show up every day, but then the activity is just ridiculous. Just check out the last like 2 or 3 months, I basically average at least 100 to maybe 250, some days like way more, 400 activities on a daily basis. And I just do it every single day. It's the first thing that I do every day, most important thing that I do every day. And yeah, so just given the fact that I outperform the average community owner something like 15 times or so, it's not surprising I make more than 15 times the amount of money, just to be clear. And no secret sauce here, just how it is. If you just show up a lot and you do 15 times the work, well, you shouldn't be expecting 15 times the results because of diminishing returns. You should definitely be expecting to just make more, right? So the thing that I really dislike is so many community owners will make these amazing communities and they'll put a lot of time and energy in at the beginning, and then they'll just like discard them all. They'll just throw them away completely. And then they'll just try passing them off to some lower level community manager. And while I get the idea behind it, right? Work on the business, not in the business. The core idea of a community product, I think if you are organic, like I am, right? Like I have my YouTube channel, I have Instagram. These are organic content channels that people find me on, tend to like what I'm saying, and then try and, purchase a paid product from me after. Like if it's a community that is built around you, isn't the most important thing that you should just show up every day and just be in the community? So I don't want to pass that off to somebody else because it's like a market of one. It's me, right? I'm the only person that could recreate me. So why the hell would I ever try and pass that off to somebody else? And it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, responding to Skool posts takes me about an hour and a half a day, and it makes me over $300,000 a month. If you go to like an hour and a half a day, that's 45 hours per month approximately just responding. And if we go 335 divided by what did I just say? 45. I make about $7,444 an hour. Like it's stupid. Why the hell wouldn't you make that money? Is there really anything else that is more important than this for you? Like sure, working on the business might make you, I don't know, $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, depending on where you are in your career. But like, yeah, like, is there anything that is making even close to $7,000 an hour? At least in my case, no. So obviously this is what I'm doing all day, or at least to the extent that I can. So there's some other benefits of showing up every day. I mean, it reduces churn like crazy. It leads to massive goodwill that you could very easily use to upsell people on later. Gives you constant 24/7 exposure to the actual problems that people in your community are facing, which I think is really important. And then it also allows you to lead by example, because the more that you engage, typically the more everybody else is going to engage. It becomes this positive feedback loop, this knock-on effect, which significantly improves the culture of the group. So, it also delivers that $7,444 an hour now, but then it pays me dividends more in the future, just given the fact that I'm planting little seeds every time I engage. I'm building relationships every time I engage. I can upsell these people over the course of the next few months or years because of this engagement and so on. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like, that's hopefully the logic behind why you should show up every day. I don't really think I needed necessarily to run you guys through in such excruciating detail, but if you just show up every day, you're going to do way better than the vast majority of Skool owners. Now, the main question that I get at this point is, well, you have 3,300 people or something like that across both your communities that are subscribed to you. So how the hell do you actually do that yourself? And certainly how the hell do you do that in an hour and a half a day? And I think it's a great question, but I just want you guys to I want you guys to, I guess, realize that question in and of itself is like the wrong question to ask. Have you guys ever actually tried to ask yourself how much time a single community member takes to manage? Or is it just like you guys see the 3,000 or whatever and you guys are like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Most people haven't actually done the math, but if you just take the total number of members you have and the theoretical total amount of time it takes to respond to every post on a daily basis, you can actually do a little bit of math and you can figure out per member of my community, how much time am I going to have to spend? This is what I did. So I timed myself. I responded to all of my posts every single day for a few days. I think it was like a week or something. And then I divided my total member count by the average daily time spend and then determined my daily time investment per person. So before you guys get all up in arms about like, my God, this is super crazy. How the hell are you managing 3,300 people? When my community was a lot smaller, then I ran this test. And then I just determined that on average, it takes me about 0.021 minutes per member per day to respond to my posts. So that is now like a core fundamental principle that I know leading into my community. It's going to take me about 0.02 minutes per member per day. So if I have 10 members, it's going to take me about 0.2 minutes if I have per day. If I have 100 members, it's going to take me about 2 minutes per day. I just scaled it up from there. Like it's, pretty logical if you think about it that way, right? So viewed in this way, responding to everything myself is really not that big of a deal. And when I realized this, I was like, oh yeah, there's no reason why I need to hire it because I could continue scaling this up until like probably 8,000 members or so. It took me a few days to figure it out. My initial time spent was definitely way higher, but yeah, that's really the math here. You guys got to keep in mind that not every person in the community is like an active contributor, engager in the community. Like obviously we wish that everybody was, but not everybody is like actually making like a few posts a day. like most things in life, it's long tail. It's power law, right? Like you have like 1% of people in the community that make like 80% of posts or something. Okay. It's like the 80-20 Pareto principle, if you guys know about that. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that you could manage like massive community sizes, much bigger than you guys actually realistically think, so long as you set it up right. And here's how I set it up right. Here's basically everything that I do that you guys can copy and feel free to implement in your own. Okay, so first I batch everything. So I respond in batches every 24 hours approximately. I do it entirely in one sitting. I try not to spread it out over the course of the day because I went to school for behavioral neuroscience, and a big thing that you learn about human behavior and productivity when you're in it, when you're in that program, is context switching is really, really the main cost in most people's ability to get shit done in a day. Like if you are doing something and then you see a notification pop up and then you go and you do the notification, then you come back and do the thing, you just added like an additional 5 to 10 minutes to the entire process. Even if the notification only took you 30 seconds to respond to and the thing you're doing took you 30 seconds to do, like just the fact that you are switching your attention from one thing to another is extraordinarily destructive. So all I do is I batch it, right? I put some sunglasses on, lock myself in the closet, and I just say, all right, it's school time. And then I just sit down and I bang through it all. You guys can think of this sort of like an email inbox, right? Like the number one recommendation in, like CEOs and stuff like that is like, do your email first thing in the morning, bang it out, inbox 0, and don't look at it for the rest of the day unless something is super incredibly urgent. Do you know what I mean? Like the only time you're going to do that is if you are sending an email. Like the only time I'm getting on Skool is if I am creating a piece of content to give back to people. But for the most part, like I do all of my work upfront, takes me about that hour and a half, and then, okay, cool, I'm done. I've now given and created a bunch of content. I can let it like run free and run wild and let the Skool community algo, bump it up or bump it down. I also use voice transcription tools like Aqua and Whisperflow, et cetera, instead of typing. So the way that this works is basically the average person types at about 40 words per minute. The average person speaks at about 160 words per minute. Check that out, right? That's a 4x gap. So in total, it's about 3 to 4 times the bandwidth, aka the total number of like bits that you could send through a little wire. And then I also find that because I'm speaking into this transcription tool, the text ends up coming off a lot more conversational, which I think is important because at the end of the day, that's what people care about, your authentic voice. Doubly so in my case because like most people are here from my YouTube, right? So because of this, I can respond a lot faster than most other people, and I can bang out like, a certain number of posts in a much shorter period of time than somebody with like, somebody that's clanking on the keys manually. Definitely takes some getting used to, but when you figure it out, it is abundantly more powerful. The next big thing is I batch all of my categories. So it's mostly the same sort of post over and over and over again. So I'll show you guys what I mean by that. Like I have a bunch of categories in Maker Skool. One's an introductions category, right? This just lists a bunch of people that just introed. But I also have like a general discussion category. Then I have, a daily accountability updates category. I have bugs and automation QA category, right? Now, obviously my niche is more development related because I'm in AI and automation. So a lot of these are like systems diagnoses and stuff like that. And I'm good at that. But I just run through top to bottom. And then when I do my daily batch, I'll actually just open up all intro posts, go unread, and then just answer all of the ones that are unread. And I focus on the new posts. And that's kind of like a meta system here that just allows me to do this much faster and better and more organized than most other people. Okay, so once I'm done with the intros, I'm basically just saying, hey man, welcome aboard to the community, bro. It's so great to have you. Super stoked to see you here. Like, thanks so much. If anybody's a cool background that I think would be hyper relevant, like I'll bring it up. Then I just move on to the next one. Now I'm doing bugs, and it's like, hey, I think this bug is this. Hey, I think this bug is that. The reason for this is it comes back to that context switching idea, which I've just come to realize is at the root of so much of like my productivity. If you just batch everything and you just stay in the same context, like if you're in intro mode and then you just go through a bunch of intros, and then you switch to bug hunt mode and then you go through a bunch of bug hunt, and then you switch to daily updates mode and you go to daily update, finish your daily update stack, you minimize the number of like fixed attentional shifts, and then it just ends up making you way more productive. So yeah, to make a long story short, just batch everything. It's so much better. And then with this, I can respond to about 1 post a minute, meaning that if there's like, 70 posts in Maker Skool, I can respond to 70 posts in like a little over an hour, which is pretty crazy. I don't do old posts. So if somebody asks me follow-up questions, I just encourage them to create a new thread, which lets me filter very easily by unreads. Now, Skool did not used to have this unread feature, which has been just a total game changer for me. I used to have to do this manually. And when I did, you guys see how some of these have these little circles around them, right? Well, what I would do is I would basically grab like the circle in HTML, and then I would use a little Chrome extension that would cycle through all of them, copy the links to my clipboard, and then I just go to like a little tool and then paste them all in. Another big thing is like, because I am so hyper engaged and I do it all, once per day in a batch, essentially what this allows me to do is the people that see my posts and stuff get inspired themselves and they start helping other people in the community, which I think is fantastic and extraordinarily important. But because I don't check until the next 24 hours, by the time that I come back and check, a lot of the questions will have already been answered by the helpful, engaged members of the community that have already suffered the same problem as the person that's posting and know how to solve it. So then what do? I don't actually have to go through the whole rigmarole of like debugging the N8N flow or whatever. I just chime in with a little thumbs up. I just say, dude, sick, or I post a funny GIF or whatever. This probably saves me like half an hour. And then the benefit is the person that was doing the engaging, gets rewarded, like publicly by me, because I'm telling everybody else how awesome they are. If we're honest, Skool is like a social marketplace, right? Like there are people that are bigger whales and then there are smaller fish and stuff. And this helps people like climb the social hierarchy in a way. And then obviously, since a lot of people join because of me, they obviously really value my feedback and my engagement. So that little bit of personalized attention just makes them more likely to do it. And then, I basically respond to pretty much every thread in Maker Skool, which massively increases engagement. And then that massive increased engagement just helps everything else and just makes it so much more of like a tight-knit community, which I think is very valuable. So, I think a lot of people can go super far just by doing this sort of stuff once per day. I think that running a great community is a lot less about fancy strategy and really cool funnels and all the tactics that I have people hitting me up in the DMs for every day. It's literally just like brute force caveman engagement. Just show up every day for a very long period of time. And just like anything, your business, relationships, the companies that you run, etc., if you just do this for long enough, you will inevitably succeed. Skool is no exception to that, but I mean, you can apply the same idea to more or less everything. So, I'm going to be speaking at the Skool Games in a few days. And I'm going to put together some fancy little, chart thing for my presentation. And I'm thinking of just doing this. And then, it's going to be like, wow, what's the secret? What did Nick do that, none of us did? I'm just going to point to this and be like, well, I just showed up every day and averaged like 200 activities a day for like 300 days, which is what, 60,000 pieces of activity? You add that up, you zoom out a little bit. Yeah, 60,000 pieces of activity, $300,000 a month. Yeah, it's like $5 per month per activity. Anyway, that's the big thing, okay? That's the one thing that I want you guys to walk away from. If you guys walk away from this video with that, then it will outshadow everything else that I'm about to tell you. And I want you to know that what I'm about to tell you will seem really sexy and cool and unique and fun, and really genius or whatever, like it may, hopefully. But that's not actually the 80-20. The 80-20 is what I just talked about, okay? Just showing up every day. Okay, so that's strategy number one. Strategy number two, I should probably get this in the shot, huh? Strategy number two that enabled me to get this giant hunk of metal, which is extraordinarily heavy, and I need to polish it off, clearly. My hands are kind of oily, is turning a B2C promise into a B2B promise. Okay, so I don't know, if everybody here knows what the terms mean, but B2C, business to consumer, so you're targeting mostly just individuals that don't own businesses. B2B, business to business, you're targeting primarily business owners. So when you're targeting primarily business owners, they tend to speak business language like you, and you start to be able to level with them on terms like ROI, return on investment, and so on and so forth. So the logic here is, one of the reasons I was able to grow so quickly is because of my niche, right? AI, automation, that sort of stuff. But I do have a lot of people that just look at Maker Skool from the outside and they see the term AI somewhere and they're like, oh, it's an AI community. That's why he won. And it's like, that's it. They kind of like see that. And then that confirms their pre-existing belief that like some niches are really easy and other niches are really hard. And then they just stop thinking about it. And I get where you're coming from, but that's wrong. Like basically objectively wrong. Because I didn't just pick this niche. I didn't just fall into it. Like I purposefully created the niche that I'm in. And it's not a niche that everybody else is occupying. It's not that this is an AI community. It's my own community with my own market. So the reason why Maker Skool works so well and the reason why we just crushed in this is because we took what was formerly B2C, which is an AI education, and then I intentionally converted it into a B2B market, which was AI for money. In particular, I niched down so hard that it was AI for getting your first paying customer in 90 days or your money back. So there are levels to this, right? Like AI is kind of like down here and it's like, what's the outcome there? It's like, oh, you'll learn about no code and AI and technology. Then there's AI for money. And it's like, okay, what's the outcome there? Oh, you'll learn about how to make money with AI. And then there's AI for getting your first paying customer in 90 days or your money back. And it's like, what's the outcome there? Well, it's that you'll get your first paying customer in 90 days or your money back. Like it's extraordinarily clear, right? So instead of just making it about something general, which is about the cool technology and whatnot, I made it hyper relevant to people that wanted to grow in business. And guess what? The people that want to grow a business tend to understand more the math of return on investment. And because nothing in life is free, and let alone certainly not Maker Skool, That made it a lot easier for me to have people justify their investment and basically immediately return some sort of ROI. And that's the whole idea. So another way of looking at it is my offer is not become an expert with AI like most other people's in my space. It is get your first paying customer for an AI service. So the cool thing is I am not actually about AI. I am AI adjacent, which allows me to benefit from the newness of AI and the excitement around it. But AI is not like the core thing. The core thing is get your first paying customer in 90 days. Just happens to be with AI. Do you know what I mean? So because of this, I was able to craft this market of one idea and then also do like a pretty unique offer. I want to make it clear that I was not like the first on the scene by any means with AI. It's not like I was, I came at like the good time with undifferentiated, just bland AI communities, and then I was able to grow. There were already lots of AI communities when I made my AI community. I just like really niche the hell down. And, in order to win in school, I think that you do need to niche the hell down. But don't just like niche down as in like talk about something vague, esoteric, like our community is about medieval history from 1459 to 1512. It's like, no. Make it a B2B problem. That solves something that people are actually justifiably willing to invest some money in, and then you'll win, right? So yeah, that's my recommendation for you guys. If you guys are doing knitting or something, don't do learn about knitting. Instead do learn how to make money with knitting, because then the people that purchase your program or course or community or whatever will think, well, this thing is $15 a month, but if I get good at making money with knitting, I'll make like a $1,500 a month, and the community will be 100 times ROI, right? Ideally, it would actually be not even that. It'd be get the specific monetary outcome with knitting. So it'd be like, make $1,000 a month with your knitting business, working 5 hours a week or something, right? Like that would be the ideal. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys have appreciated this so far. This is kind of blurry. Maybe we'll move this a bit. I don't know if I'll be able to get this in the shot right. Okay. Why don't we just put this right by my face? The third thing is to launch first and then build later. Now, this is pretty obvious, I think, at this point, and most people probably understand where I'm coming from, especially fellow people on the school leaderboards. But the real prerequisite is actually just launching a community in the first place. Like a lot of people that are watching me here, probably 90% of them that might be interested in launching a school community, just sit around on the sidelines watching other people win. But you are very limited in what you can do unless you consciously and intentionally and repeatedly step into the arena. It's one thing to watch a gladiatorial battle and throw tomatoes at the people inside. And it's another thing to actually sit there with your gladius and fight the lion, right? So if you are not making a decision right now, then that is a decision. You have made a decision to not make a decision. It may not be a conscious one, but it is still a decision at the end of the day. And as a result, you still face the responsibilities of making a decision. It's an opportunity cost, and it's massive. Every day that you don't do the thing that you wanted to do is basically like almost near infinite downside. I mean, you're losing thousands of dollars a day, hell, thousands of dollars a minute by not being the best opportunity, by not taking the best opportunities that you can. So that's how I frame it. If you just frame your business life as every day that you do not act, you are costing yourself some amount of money, you will go a lot farther, because human beings are just naturally biased towards fearing loss more than we are enjoying upside. So I launched super quick, and I consider it one of the main reasons why I was able to get out of my own way and then focus on the things that actually matter, which are daily actionables like engaging with my community members. I'm just going to give you guys the playbook here, tell you guys everything that I did. I'm not going to say this is perfect. I think I probably could have streamlined some of these, but this is just what I did. Feel free to take a look at this and copy it. So first thing I did was I created a blank community immediately. I paid the school fee. I think it's $97 a month. I certainly hope it is. I know that they launched another plan recently, but anyway, I paid the school fee, which at the time was somewhere around $100 a month. That just pre-committed me. Like I didn't actually want to do a community, if I'm honest. I wasn't very familiar with the business model, and obviously people don't like doing things that they're not super familiar with, right? Like we're scared of newness. And I kind of recognized that in myself, and then I said, all right, screw it. I'm just going to spend $100 on this. And the reason why is because I'm very cheap. And if I spend $100 on something, I don't just want to like spend $100 on something and go, oh my God, I just pissed that away. I want to spend $100 on something and like many of the business owners that join Maker School, see a return on investment. So I then spent about 20 minutes making some assets on Canva. I went for a very simple white on black font. That's just like the Maker School logo. So you guys see this thing over here? These I made all in like 20 minutes or so. The cool thing that I've come to realize about design is, you can intentionally be minimalistic as a way to like hide your lack of design skills. And like, I didn't want to hire a designer or a team. I didn't want to AI generate my backgrounds and stuff because I thought it was kind of tacky. So what I did is I just like used minimalism and I made it all super simple. And I think people just like think I'm a great designer because of it, but I'm not. Anyway, my first program was called 14-Day Agency. And the idea with the 14-Day Agency is that I didn't actually have the program, like I didn't have the full program recorded when I launched the community. I had like the first day or two recorded. And the idea was I would launch it people would come in, they'd watch the first video, and I'd be like, hey, how'd you like the first video? What kind of questions did you have? Then I'd take that knowledge and then I just use that to record the second video. Eventually I came up with a curriculum and that was fine. But yeah, like the real core of this was I recorded for about 2 hours or so. And then I was like, all right, I think I'm done with my classroom, at least before the launch. Thank you to whoever else joined. I really got to close these tabs. Then I was trying to grow like a Twitter at the time and I had like 1,000 followers or something. And some people were engaging with me. Most of it was just rage bait post stuff, to be honest. But this is before my brand. Well, I guess in the middle of my brand. So I invited my top followers on Twitter and then people from YouTube that had expressed interest in paying something at some point in time over the course of the last couple of months. And I basically just said, hey, I'm considering launching this like paid product. I know it's totally out of left field, but like you're really smart and I really value your opinion. Would there be any chance that you could find it in your heart to join? I'm not going to ask anything from you. I just want you to make an introduction post and then like walk me through what you think about it. And if there's something that I could do in return for you, then let me know. So I just sent like 20 people this message, which I had written and templated and then customized a little bit. And then I had like 20 people in my community on day one, which is pretty sick. And then obviously a bunch of these people introduced themselves and I made sure to like seed the community with a bunch of people that like were just like making a lot of money as well because I wanted the impression when people joined, like the first organic person who joined, to be like, holy shit, these guys are killers, right? This is like a core small little nugget of people that are around Nick that like know how to make money. I'm glad I paid. Maybe I should get my friends in here, right? So that's what I did. And then I made the group public. And then I priced it really low to start. Like I priced my first community to make money with make it $28 a month. I was not the biggest YouTube channel in my space by any means. But I am the most monetized. And a big chunk of the reason why, big chunk of the reason why is because, I launched and then I like successively and consistently raised prices after. Obviously this helped a lot because when you start with a really low price point, there are some supply and demand economics that are at play. This also kind of did shoot me in the foot a little bit because I ended up with a bunch of people that I would consider not very serious people. You guys have ever seen Succession? Not serious people. That's kind of the vibe that I had because they just didn't really take anything that I was saying seriously. And then they, started raising some issues with the community and stuff like that. So I eventually had to politely ask them if they were either willing to pay more money or get the hell out of here. There's some issues, the pricing too low to start. In hindsight, if I could go back in time, I'd probably have priced like double this. So somewhere around like 50 or $60 a month, just to eliminate like the total tire kicker people that are always asking you to justify every 30 cents that they spend, which is understandable is what it is. When your core niche is beginners, obviously you're going to get a lot of that, right? And then, I just like changed the links on my community and then I launched it and then it was great. So I never hard pitched anywhere, always soft pitched. Content strategy, more generally on my end for YouTube, has always just been 99% value, 1% ask. As I mentioned, I'm not the biggest YouTuber in my space by subscriber count by any means. There are a lot of people that are much bigger than me in the niche, but I am certainly the highest dollar per subscriber right now. We're talking multiples on basically everybody that I can think of off the top of my head. And I attribute the reason for that because I just don't sell, whereas, a lot of other people try and sell. I've experimented with selling. A couple of my recent videos I tried selling, haven't seen any positive results from it. So I'm just going to go back to not selling at all. What I mean not selling, I mean like legitimately, like the number one lever that I pulled for Maker School for a while was just like telling people that I had a paid program because just nobody knew about it because I wasn't ever doing call to actions or whatever. People would find out through comments on YouTube and stuff like that. And then they'd be like, oh my God, Nick has a paid program? Jeez, he never talked about it at all. It's not ideal, but a lot of people had to like fight to join my program. Nick, I just realized you created a program, but I don't see a sign-up page anywhere. I'm just sending an email. I'd really like to join. When you don't sell right away, you build up like the dry tinder of anticipation. And when you end up doing the dropping and informing your community or informing your audience or whatever, that tends to blow up really quickly. So that's the way that I see it. So eventually I added a weekly community call. And then I started slowly increasing the price of the group because if you think about it, every week we had one additional week's worth of recordings, which is like an asset, right? You can transcribe that. You could turn that into text posts. You can do a lot with that. It's like knowledge. So every week I basically increased the price for a little bit. This is at least for Make Money with Make until I hit my cap at the time, which is about 500. And then I said, okay, I'm going to like back off for a little bit and like do some more strategy. So increasing the price over time, obvious churn reduction mechanism, right? Highly recommend that, if you guys are doing this sort of price increase thing, you do it gradually, you do it fairly, you increase it concomitant with the value of the program that you are creating. But yeah, in a nutshell, I think as long as you have like, I don't know, like 30% of these basics down, you can launch a community probably in the next day and you could totally crush it. So this is just a box that you should check. And my earnest recommendation for you guys is you just check that box as quickly as possible. Don't think about it too much, okay? The question that you should answer isn't how do I get this 100% right today? It's how can you set yourself up with a habit that lets you do this 80% right every single day for a full year? And that's the real beast that you need to tackle. So I would just launch immediately, have a really crappy product, and then just make it successively better every day. Okay, next up, I want to talk community structure. Again, just to reiterate, this is not why my community has been so successful. I'd actually consider my community structure one of the worst parts of the community, but it works pretty well for me. So to start, calls. These are all of the calls on my July calendar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I guess. There's like 6 or 7 calls. I mean, I'm seeing 8 here, but this is just because the way that the month broke down. Normally we don't have 5 in a week and then 3 in a week. 5 in a month and then 3 in a month. Normally it's like, 6 or 7. So for the vast majority of Maker School's lifespan, I only did 1 call per month. That was it. So I literally erase all of these and then there's just 1 monthly community call. I did it on the first day of the month. It was like 2.5 hours long and it was just like me spitballing, answering as many questions as humanly possible, as quickly as possible. So the reason for that was because I realized that most community members just didn't join them. And I didn't really want to, do a bunch of work for people that weren't going to actually show up. If you looked at the actual call recordings, and, on YouTube, you could see the views of a video, right? Or on Loom or whatever, you can do that too. Very few people are actually seeing them. So I don't know, some of my videos got like 100 views, but then there's like 1,000 people in the community. So it's like 10% of people are actually watching this. It's kind of silly. So the reason for this is the time that you spend doing calls is not equally distributed time that trickles down to everybody in the group. To make a long story short, in my case, maybe 20% of the group actually shows up to a call, maybe 10 to 20%, depending on the size. So your thoughts are basically just why spend an hour servicing 20% when you could spend an hour servicing 100%? And when I say like, why do this versus that, that is text posts, right? Like that's why I have such an emphasis on text posts all the time. Why spend an hour servicing 20% of my group with a video or a call when I could spend, an hour servicing 100% of my group with text posts? And it's not 100% in fairness, but like if you think about it, like the value of a text post doesn't go down as much as the value of recording does, because in most people's eyes, it's like a car. The second you drive it off the lot, value of a live call or whatever plummets because you weren't there. But text posts tend to just like stand the test of time, and they're as valuable today as they are in like 6 months. There's some additional issues to calls. They're synchronous, obviously. That requires logistics and planning. They're often not very information dense, and then you have to deal with a lot of things on the fly, which just makes you a poor performer, I would say. Just don't really think it's the highest value thing that you could be doing with your time. So my 2 cents to most of the people on the Skool Games leaderboard, most of the people that were competing with me last month and, maybe want to launch a community soon and like make it to number 1 this next quarter, are just like reallocate your expected time from calls to forums. If you just like get in the habit of answering questions, more so than like doing calls that only 5 or 10% of people actually attend, I think you're going to have a lot more energy. I think you're going to have a lot better engagement. And I think that the UX for the average community member is going to be a lot better. I also think, and this is just me being like my little nerdy AI self, but I also think there's just so much more value in text, at least right now, because you can very soon instantly index all of the text posts that you've ever written, feed that into AI, and then have AI do some sort of logic decision-making for you, chatbot, whatever. Okay, so since then I've added way more people, right? Like this is back when my community was like 1,000 people or 1,200 people or something like that. Now that it's near 3,000, I now do a weekly call. And then one of my friends and sales trainers named Connor comes in every 2 weeks for a hands-on sales session where he actually does like live sales role-play and stuff. Connor's an absolute goat, one of the smartest, most consistent guys that I've chatted about in this space. So much love for that. And averages out to something like 6 calls per month with that. Okay, so 4 from me and then 2 from him. In terms of what I actually do on the call, I mute everybody. So I am God Emperor on the call. Okay. I'm the giant worm in Dune. I hide everybody's faces, hide their profile pics, and then I just force everybody to ask a question in a chat. In terms of like what the chat looks like, it's, I don't know if my community call is, right over here. It's right over here. So weekly community call thread. I post some funny GIF of a professor. I say, get those cues in, and then a bunch of people just ask me questions underneath. So in that way, I basically just get to go down those questions. And then I don't have to like deal with distractions like, I don't know, somebody's ant yelling in the background or like a dog barking or the thunderstorm or some person that like lacks the social acuity to know when is not a good time to talk, just like monopolize the conversation, right? So that's my thoughts on it. Are they the most fun and the most engaging? Probably not as a result of that, but they're a little more information dense. And then, yeah, like to me, that's 80-20 basically. So what do I do instead? I do looms. Okay, you guys know Loom videos, little app that you can record videos on asynchronously, send it to somebody, and then they can watch it later simply with a link. You don't have to use Loom. There's a variety of different platforms that you can use, but Loom's probably like the most recognized, at least at the time of this recording. And basically what I do instead is it's the 80-20. Instead of me being live physically on a call where I answer one dude's question in front of 50 or 100 people, I answer people's specific questions in a Loom, then I post it. And then if somebody else is suffering from that problem, they can just watch that Loom video and self-select into actually spending the time. So I think it's way more efficient. And then the benefit to that is Looms are way more scalable because now I don't have to be in a place at a specific point in time. So like if I have 2 minutes, I could totally just like bang out a quick Loom for somebody. The recipient can watch it at 1.5 times speed, so it's even more respectful of their time. And because my whole community basis is all about getting shit done and helping you do so, you don't spend as much time consuming content at 1x or whatever when you could be doing it way faster. And then you also get like that little hit of interacting with me physically, but then I don't have to, if you think about it, like listen until the end of your question, which most of the time is not going to be like the best way to phrase the question anyway. You know what I mean? Like I will get to assume and interpret and infer and then answer more or less everything for you in one shot, which is just much more time efficient for both of us. It's way better. It solves so many of the needs that a call does, but now I just have like a library. And then, yeah, since the information density of a Loom is really high, I refer to them weeks or months down the line. It's not uncommon for me to like comment and then reference a Loom that I recorded like 3 or 4 months ago because, that information is still relevant, tends to be very high information density, and it's like the best solution for that specific impression. And then many of my Loom videos have tens of thousands of views now. Not most of them. Most of them have like probably 10 or 15 views. But many of my Loom videos have actually gone like super viral, not just within the community, but guaranteed people have been like sharing them outside of them because, yeah, I clicked on one that was about, I think, cold email setup or something. I think I had like 30 or 40,000 views. So it's not the case for my longer 1-hour call recordings. If you guys check out like the view count on one of those things, it's like 100, 100 from like a year ago. And it's like, wow, only 100 people actually sat down and watched that thing. Talk about like poor utilization of my time. So those are my thoughts on it. Next up, categories. I've not really thought super hard about it. Probably suboptimal. But yeah, I have like general, which I think is valuable. I have announcements, which is valuable. I got like bugs, introductions, right? The most important category for me though is wins. So that's what I'm going to spend the bulk of my time on. To make a long story short, wins is just a channel where you brag a little bit. You talk about why what you did worked and how you did some win. So Jake makes $11,000 per month. He's doing it part-time. Mark secured $21,000 in revenue. Adam had 4 contracts in 4 days. Jimmy closed $4,150 this month. And if you think about it from like a beginner's perspective, these are all massive limiting beliefs that like most beginners have when they join a beginner program. It's like, hey, does this actually work? Can I actually do this? Am I cut out for this stuff? Is there some element that other people have that I'm lacking? The benefit to having like a wins category and then just making sure it's populated as hell all the time with people that actually have wins is you're just breaking those limiting beliefs constantly. People see other members that join at approximately the same time as them, like now making $4,000 per month. And they're like, holy crap, I can actually do this. He did it. I'm better than that guy at this. And if he's doing it, then I can do it, right? Which is obviously what you want to incite. And this isn't even I'm not even talking strategy from like a community manager here or founder. I'm talking like, this helps people actually win because when you're surrounded by a culture of success constantly, significantly improves the probability that you are going to have that success too. You just become normalized to it. It's just not that big of a deal to be successful. So yeah, wins are essential. It's peak showing, not telling. It's not me being like, yeah, this works. You should pay more money. It's like, no, man. Like, look at all these other people that are saying it works and saying how grateful they are to have had the opportunity to join this program and spend money on it because they've delivered a crazy ROI. And then, yeah, like anytime somebody sends me a DM thanking me, which happens pretty often, I'll just say, hey man, like, dude, thanks so much for this. Would you mind sharing a win? Just share the wins thread. Usually the ones that work best are I made this much amount of money in this amount of time. And then they do it because obviously they like me and they consider me one of the reasons why they were successful. The really cool part about this too is like, if you go to the wins thread, wins category rather, there's just like nonstop like user journeys from people that started their very first day ever that are now making like what most people consider silly boatloads of money. And having like literally just testimonial after testimonial after testimonial, not only is it a really cool asset, obviously, but yeah, you just have like this awesome standalone resource where you get a whole list of people that go through struggles, ask questions that you may be wondering the answers to, throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, And then finally something sticks and then they're making more money than like 90% of people. So what I do is I take these wins posts that come in all the time, and they do come in all the time. They're pretty often. It's like every few hours. So Alan did 3 hours ago. Ratan did 4 hours ago. Sebastian did 6 hours ago. Richard did 22 hours ago. I mean, what's that, like 4 or 5 posted in a day, something like that? Some days we get way more. Some days we get like 10. Other days we get like 3 or 4. But what I do is I just pin them, and then I have them on like the front page. So when people sign up to my community, the first thing they see is like, holy crap, this actually works. People are like making money. And they click on it, and then they see the people's descriptions and so on and so forth. So that was obviously super cool, super hack, quite the hack. I didn't learn this from anybody. I just kind of thought about it for myself. Like, what would I want to see if I was a newbie? And yeah, kind of like a first principles approach to it. I don't think a lot of people are doing this, but I try and basically always occupy 2 out of the 3 pinned posts with wins. Next up is the onboarding. So my onboarding is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's not a lot going on, to be honest. And, what I do is I consider this the 80-20 that allows me to leverage my time as effectively as possible. I know a lot of people here are doing like daily onboarding calls, weekly onboarding calls, stuff like that. Well, it does decrease your churn, I'm sure. I think it's like marginal per unit time spent. I don't really think it's the best usage of my time. So as somebody who has always had the goal of running this puppy solo, I have other things that I consider higher priority. So what I do is I just offload all this to that welcome thread that encourages people to make an intro post, comment on some posts, go through a big list of member wins I've pre-compiled, and then start on the pre-program. Here it is. Basically, you just read through the pre-program onboarding, find 3 comments and posts, and then respond to them. Sign up to my discount aggregator for 21 grand and free tools and discounts. This is obviously an immediate ROI, and it makes people a lot more likely to stick. And then, post in wins when you win and stuff like that. That's kind of the main juice. I've added slowly to this over time, like with the affiliate offer and stuff, but the affiliate offer isn't really working super well for me, so I may remove that. I'm not entirely sure, or I may find a different way to advertise that. But yeah, in reality, I think you just need 3 or 4 things. If you think about it, like, when you comment on other posts as a newbie, what you're doing is you're like creating mini relationships in the first few hours, which is greatly increasing stickiness. And the benefit here is it's not a mini relationship with me, somebody that like runs the group who's obviously incentivized to like want you to create a mini relationship with me because I'm going to sell you on more shit. It's like you create mini relationships with other people that are curious, maybe a little worried, that have the same issues as you. And now you feel like you're in a team, which is really powerful. So I think it's 80-20. Now, as I've gotten bigger and inevitably lost the niche underdog status, the churn has definitely increased. So I may implement some sort of more rigorous onboarding at some point. But again, like I do just want to continue running this solo. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. So we'll see. Okay, classroom. This is what my classroom looks like. You guys already saw that. So very simple, very straightforward, very minimalistic. The whole part about daily accountability in Maker School is just that. Like I basically just force you to show up every day with the idea that like, if you come to Maker School every single day and then I force you to like, do the thing that day, you're more likely to like ask questions and engage in the community, give people updates on where you're going and stuff like that. And then it'll just improve engagement, which will allow me to continue operating this mostly autonomously just on my own. So I kind of baked all that in like from first principles, right? So the whole idea is you just show up every day. If you show up every day for long enough, you're significantly more likely to actually succeed. And then also you're significantly more likely to actually post stuff. And then if you do both, then I win too. So yeah, I've distilled the same idea that I mentioned to you guys earlier about showing up every day to the members of my program. And I think it's like one of the most effective ways to structure any sort of business program. So I'd recommend it. So all of my classroom modules and stuff are like month 1, day 1, month 1, day 2, month 1, day 3. And then I just like have daily tasks that I force you to do. So we have 3 tasks in day 1 here: operating name, bind main domain, and a set up cold email. That's like what you do on day 1. Day 2, you select niches, you do something else, you do something else. And then, yeah, the whole idea is you just do every day on a schedule. So there's a benefit to this, financially speaking, strategically as well. When I say, you have to show up every day, I don't want you to skip ahead. And then people don't skip ahead. Well, then they stay longer because the program takes longer than most people would otherwise anticipate. So many people at the beginner stage just want to jump into a program or a course or a community and just consume everything voraciously and then, get information overload and then quit. If you think about it, that doesn't really help me. And then it doesn't really help you either. It doesn't help me because I don't make as much money as I could have off of you. And then it doesn't help you because you are just like getting information overload. You got to drip feed that stuff, man. And the most of the time, what you need as a beginner is not knowledge, it's action. So I gatekeep the hell out of stuff once you're in my program, which is interesting because I'm not very much of a gatekeeper outside of it. But, I lock all the future months until you've been in the program at least that much time. Meaning if you want month 2 access to Maker School, you need like 2 months in Maker School, basically, or at least, I guess, 1 month in Maker School. Some people don't like this. They message me saying, hey, Nick, I don't like this. I want you to unlock all the resources for me and stuff. What I do is I'll say something like, hey, do you run a business? And then they're like, yeah, I've been running a business for the last 3 months. And I just ask, well, how much money are you making? And if they can give me some sort of verifiable proof that they're making more than like, peanuts, then I will give them access to the next month. And then if they don't, if they're at the start line of their business, I say, what you need right now is you don't need knowledge, you need action. Like you need to do the lead gen in the program. And if you don't like that, I'm happy to give you a refund. And maybe like 30% of those take me up in it, but the other 70% go, okay, that makes sense. And some of the people that have sent me messages asking for unlocked resources have turned around in a couple months and been like, dude, I'm really glad that you didn't unlock the resources. What I needed to do was just like continue doing the actions, not consuming knowledge. And some of them now make many thousands of dollars a month. So beneficial for me, beneficial for the people in the program, I think. Next up is a sidebar. So you know how in school you have like a little sidebar section here? Well, this is mine. First thing I do is I mention the price. When you mention the price, you just tell everybody that is in the program, hey, look at how much more expensive it is now. So if somebody's considering pausing or leaving or whatever, they're a lot less likely to do that because they're like, well, if I try and come back in, I'm going to have to pay full price. That's obviously churn reduction. Then I have my main value prop. And then in my case, I have a guarantee. Then I'm using the links feature in Skool. And the first thing I do is I have a best of Maker Skool. Best of Maker Skool is basically just like a massive list of people that have just made tons of money. So William closed 15K in his first 60 days, zero tech background. Adrian made 2.6K in his first 10 days. Cooper turned a small Upwork deal into 25K. Eugene closed 1500s in his first 5 days. Trevor did this. Samantha closed this. Julian made this. Ike did this. I got invited to a dinner with Brian Johnson. That was wild. So anyway, the point that I'm making is like, this is the easiest, simplest thing that I think any community member, any community owner can do if they really want to like constantly have this culture of winning. When people join, you make them read that thread and then they go, holy shit, this is possible. And then you just like sidebar it 24/7 and make it like the most accessible link. Because I just want people to break their limiting beliefs in this program. And obviously it helps me because the fewer limiting beliefs people have, the longer they're likely to stay and like trust what I have to say, right? Next up, I do 21K in discounts. So there's a link over here that you can join, which if you sign up to with your like Maker Skool email address, the one that you used to sign up to this, you get $21,000 in discounts to a bunch of different tools. It's not exactly $21,000. Some people claim way more than this. Some people claim way less, but like basically it's like a big tool aggregator, which is like makes the return on investment of joining my community immediate. So it's like, I could pay $184 and then immediately get $600 in credits to a tool that I'm planning on using. It's like, well, obviously I'm going to join the program, right? And then add everyone on socials is pretty cool. I didn't really think this would be super valuable, but yeah, in hindsight, it's one of the most valuable things I've ever done. I get people coming into the program for all different social media platforms, okay? Some people come through LinkedIn, some people come through YouTube, some people come through Instagram. So what add everyone on socials does is it just like gives you a way to add me on all social media platforms. And then I say I will add and follow you back on any of the following platforms. And so somebody follows me on Twitter, I follow them back. Somebody follows me on LinkedIn, I follow them back. Same thing with Instagram. And if you think about it, like this is back in September 2024. Like, do you know how many people have entered Maker Skool since then? This is when I started Maker Skool, September 2024. We're talking like, I don't know, probably like 7,000 or 8,000. So I got like 7,000 free LinkedIn people, LinkedIn followers basically, which is sweet. Obviously I follow them all back and stuff. My LinkedIn feed is now like a freaking battle zone, but it's not like I spend my day reading my LinkedIn feed, right? So this has been cool. And then it also allows you to like stay in touch even if you leave school later, which is cool because obviously if you're in my nurturing network now and like you start getting hit with LinkedIn posts or whatever, a lot of people just see my posts, go, damn, that was a good community. I should get back into it. Then they join my community again. So I basically get them like in a nurture list, if that makes sense. And then, second last thing is community exclusives, where basically one big issue I was finding is, I do give away a lot of stuff, right? And like not gatekeeping is a big part of my YouTube, like my YouTube brand. I just like give everybody all the knowledge and then I say knowledge should be free. It's 2025. So I think a logical question is like, well, Nick, if knowledge is free, then why the hell would I pay money to join your community? Like you were already giving everything away. What else could you possibly give me? So what I've had to do is I've had to like find a way to give people inside of my community some additional value that you wouldn't otherwise get just listening to me yap on my main YouTube channel. And what I've settled on is this idea of community exclusives where, if you join my community, then I don't know, once a week or so on average, I will record some long form video that's just me talking about a particular topic that people really want to hear more about. I'll take polls and then I'll see what people really like want to learn more about. And then I'll just like do some big, almost like a whiteboard style presentation where I just chat about it for a certain period of time. And I find people really like it because if think about the sort of people that join my community, they're the sort of people that just like listening to me yap anyway. So I don't really need crazy production value. It's just mostly me and my thoughts. And yeah, there's some real nuggets that I drop from time to time, but yeah, on my end, it's not very difficult. It's not very time inefficient. I just get to do it in little periods and openings that I have. And I can just, sit down and record a 45-minute video on like my thoughts about focus and then release it. And then people really like it. So yeah, I'm saying stuff like never to be published on YouTube, community exclusive, and so on and so forth. And then ever since I did that, I found that this had a very, very positive impact on churn. So that was very, very beneficial. And then finally, DMs. If you guys go back to Skool here, you'll notice that I have a fair number of DMs, right? 43 here, 99. I never look at the notifications. DMs, though, I clear them out about once a week. Now, obviously, because I'm very active and because I give a lot of value and stuff like that, a lot of people do feel like they could DM me, particularly people maybe that I don't know, just lack that internal social compass to be like, should I ask Nick this question that I could realistically find an answer to in 30 seconds if I just use the search bar? Some people just don't understand that, and that's okay. I'm targeting, as I mentioned, mostly beginners. A lot of the people that join are young. A lot of people that join are just not the sort of people that have a lot of business experience. They don't understand kind of what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, so I get it. And that's okay. I used to respond to them every single day, doing that inbox zero stall, but I have found this to be pretty ineffective because in reality, if instead of responding every day, I just respond once a week, I find that by the time I circle back, most people have already answered their own questions and they answer them within like an hour of asking me them anyway. So it's just way more effective for me to do it that way. And then I encourage them all just like, hey, create a Skool post. That way, if you guys make a Skool post and I answer it, then everybody else will get to see, making it leveraged consulting, not, just one-on-one time. So yeah, that's what I do. I batch them. In terms of how they break down, I did a little bit of math the other day because I was interested. About an eighth or so are refund requests. About half of them are people asking questions about the program that could be answered really simply. About a quarter of them are just thank yous. And then maybe another eighth of them, something like this, are business opportunities where people say, hey, got this big client. He's really interested in your stuff. Would you be interested in working with him? I turned the vast majority of these down, but a couple of these have led to some serendipity, which I'm happy for. And I guess I lied. There's actually one more. There's levels. Now this idea of levels is a feature that Skool introduced a while ago. I know some people are using them pretty often. I don't basically at all. So in my case, I think just because I'm doing a daily program, it would add a significant amount of daily complexity for me if I did this. I don't really want that complexity. So in my case, I don't do any of that. Okay. And then, yeah, the last big chunk here is just ignoring distractions. So, as the number one Skool earner as of right now, I get pitched stuff all day. I get pitched new business models, novel ideas, ways to monetize my community. I should make a SaaS. You should partner with me to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I've gotten so many of them and I've gone through so many of these rabbit holes that I think I can confidently say that that's really well-intentioned, but it's all misguided. And the vast majority of it is not at all helpful, not at all as helpful as just continuing to do the main thing that you normally do, which is in my case, community management. So a lot of people in my space are like, Nick, dude, I got this great idea for a software product. We have $50,000 in funding. We'll do it all for you. All we need is build a software solution and then we'll sell to the community. You have 3,000 people. If you build a software product and sold to them as part of your program, you'd massively increase your revenue. You'd also diversify away from Skool, so you wouldn't just have all your eggs in one basket. But if you just look at it from a face value perspective, let's actually do the math. If you sell a $50 a month software product, how many people in your community can you actually upsell that to? How many people? Actually, for just being realistic here, I'm saying 20%. You probably not even do 10. But let's say 20%. If you sell a $50 a month product to 20% of the community, and let's say I have 2,700 people, at least as of the time of this recording, this is changing. That's $27,000 a month, which is 9% of my gross. Okay. Not even 9% of my gross, even less. So it's what else could I do that would deliver me 9% more money? Well, could I just make Maker Skool 9% better? Duh. Take way less time. It's something that I'm already good at doing. 9% is nothing. It's 1/10, 1/11th. Of course I could make Maker Skool 9% better and make 9% more money. And I'd rather do that because I'm just way better at it. You know what I mean? It's proven. I also have a lot of people pitching business models like lead sharing, marketplace, and all that stuff. But yeah, the way that I see it is basically right now I have a button. Yeah, the button is this beautiful Skool, and I just press it. And every time I press it, I make $7,444 an hour. Wouldn't I just rather press it more than try and create some big, cool, new, disruptive thing? I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm not Steve Jobs here, okay? I'm not exactly disrupting any industries. All I'm doing is I'm taking something that works and I'm just making it a little bit better and run, well, in my opinion, not a little bit better, significantly more effectively and efficiently than most other people do. So yeah, just in terms of that last strategic part, ignoring distractions, I think is really important. And then speaking of which, that takes me to that last part about strategy. I think I've said it's the last part 40 times now, but this is actually the end of the guide. The reality is I have very little to say about this. I'm not a very strategic person. What I am is consistent. And the way I see things over enough time, consistency will beat strategy every single time. So if you're going to focus on developing and harnessing a skill here, don't focus on AI. Don't focus on automation. Don't focus on becoming the cool strategic master. Just focus on being consistent, because that skill in the long run will win. And as long as you don't quit, you have two choices. You either win or you die, because that is basically the only other alternative. I have so many people that always ask me what the strategy behind Maker School is. I'm obviously going to do a conversation in LA at the Skool Games headquarters here, talking about it and so on and so forth. But the reality is, like, the only real reason I won, if we just boil away all the BS, is that I just showed up every day for a very long period of time. So you could delete 90% of this post. If you just walked away with that, you would probably be able to outshine the rest of my recs, no problem. Feedback beats planning every single time. You can't think your way out of most issues. You can't like whiteboard a big, fat, sexy strategy and think that that's going to solve everything for you. You actually have to interface with your customers and your target audience. Then you have to use those takeaways to improve the core product. If you just show up, it is the hammer that turns everything else into a nail. So you can launch the crappiest community on day one, like I did, believe me. But if you show up every single day and then just make it a little bit better and better and better over enough time, eventually you will succeed. And that's how you should frame it. It's just, eventually I will succeed. It's just a matter of time, just a number of reps, and so on and so forth. Okay. I spend a good hour and a half every single day interacting with my core customer. And so I understand my core customer extraordinarily well. And so I'm able to build better products that serve the needs of those core customers better every single day. And that's one of the reasons, that's the main reason why Maker School works as well as it does. Okay. So hopefully all of that makes sense. Had a lot of fun putting that together for you guys. Thank you very much for watching and listening to me out. If you guys have Skool communities and stuff like that and have any questions, you guys can actually ask them down below on this video. Did funky stuff to my lighting. These are my daily updates. So I just answer all the questions on my daily updates channel, given a long enough time. Again, just another example of showing up. And yeah, if you guys want to chat strategy, if you guys want to chat YouTube growth, if you guys want to chat AI specifically, then let me know. But that's been that. And if you guys are going to the Skool Games in about, I think 4 or 5 days now, let me know. I'd love to connect, maybe grab a coffee or a drink or something like that. Chat communities and just like what we're doing to take over the world more generally. Thank you very much, and looking forward to chatting with you all soon. Bye-bye.